Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Well, what was that, a remix?
No,
that what's up, everybody? Welcome to Get Book Solid, Shawn Lacey book, and the amazing David Meltzer coming to you live from SoFi Stadium, the greatest stadium in Inglewood.
That's true.
What?
It has competition.
I want to get you in more trouble.
Thank you. Yeah, well, the Intuit Dome's up there too, so we got a lot of competition in Inglewood now.
We are back from Egypt, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, thank you so much for taking the time out of your amazing end-of-year mastermind. I heard that you are oversold, completely jam-packed over there in the suite next to you. Tell us what we're missing.
Yeah, well, we're missing Shawn and Lacey, so the takeaways are less than they normally are, especially without having Lacey here. But we have Rob Riggle, Tom Bilyeu, Marshall Falk, Wing Lam, Linda Cohn came, which was amazing. I got to have her in person, and people were really thrilled. I think she was, ironically, her brother's a chiropractor, so she was at the longevity conference, and she came here and said, you know, I met Dr. David Pascal, and he almost came back with me to come. He goes, but it's a Tuesday, and I got to get back to North Carolina, wherever he was going. But out of all names, the world is so small. And so she was with Dr. Ken Vu and Dr. Pascal and many other chiropractors. Her brother is a chiropractor, so I told him we'll hook you guys up. I guess he's pretty famous in your field, so we'll have to hook you up with him. He lives in Costa Mesa, so next time you're out at the Irvine Studios, we'll have you meet Linda Cohn and her brother.
Awesome. So everybody's there getting edified in the suite next door.
Well,
learning new things.
What's your takeaway from today?
Yeah, what's been your takeaway so far?
So far, my takeaway is that we all have pain in our lives, and we have a choice. Edwin Ariave is here, who's going through a divorce. We had a very vulnerable panel about our biggest challenges and how we deal with pain and struggle, and relationship between pain and struggle. And pain is not a choice; it's a daily activity. But struggle is a choice. And it was so amazing from Rob Riggle explaining his situation with his divorce and with his mom, who also has dementia like mine, to Edwin Ariave, who has a very public divorce right now with his wife, Teddy Mellencamp. And then Marshall Falk was talking about the challenge and struggle he has with being a father and a grandfather and not knowing what he doesn't know. So here we have these extraordinary people, but yet everybody in the crowd and on the panels and in the fireside chats are all dealing with pain. But it was very interesting, the choice that they make and the meaning / Edwin calls it interpretation of the struggle. And I think if we can help people interpret their struggle and give meaning to the struggle, that the omnipresent pain becomes dissipated, can even dissolve.
That's very interesting. I want to segue to our 10-day trip to Egypt. Had a ton of fun there. But as you're saying that, it's not what I wanted to talk about today, but we witnessed a lot of struggle. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people, and that's one of the things that I love about traveling the world, is that it puts things in perspective. It gives us that transformational viewpoint, because listen, even the stories that you're sharing, there's pain in their lives, and they're dealing with a lot of difficult situations, But then, as you were saying that, I was thinking like, man, we saw a lot of poverty, a lot of struggle. People, everything's a dollar in Egypt. Like I said, it's the dollar store. Everything's a dollar. But people that are just trying to make a buck, like literally, like wake up on a Tuesday and I just want to make a dollar. And I found myself wondering too, like, well, if they sold one of their bookmarks today, they sold one bookmark, they have a dollar. I mean, what is that going to get them? Like, does that feed their whole family? Or like, what are they doing with that? I guess my question is, are they in pain? Is that because I mean, I think it's subjective a little bit.
I don't know if I agree. Like, and I don't know if I agree with that statement, because you said that we saw a lot of struggle, but maybe to them it's not struggle.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, that's like our interpretation of their experience, right? And I think that struggle is really something that is you don't know how to handle, right? Like, struggle often comes from your inability to handle a situation and not know what to do or how to move through it. And like a lot of those people, that while they may be living in what we perceive as poverty, to them that's normal, right? That's how they grew up, that's how they've lived on a day-to-day basis. And in fact, you and I have done a lot of mission trips into third world countries. We did that for a decade. And in fact, some of those people that you meet that we would say they're in struggle, they have no money, they're living in poverty, are actually some of the most content, at peace, happy, grateful individuals you'll ever meet, right? So it's really interesting, because I again, it's our interpretation of it, but I think, yeah, that struggle is your inability to understand how to handle stuff, and those people know how to handle that kind of life.
But that's my question.
Mhm.
So I have a very close friend going through a relationship, trauma, going through a divorce. But I'm like, I look at that and I may feel compassionate and empathy for him. I've been through that myself. I understand what that feels like. But then when you put it into perspective, but you have a dollar. I mean, and we were around people that don't have a dollar. And so that's an interesting perspective when you talk about pain and struggle.
Yeah, there's several things that I think about. One was Kenya, because unlike Kenya, Egyptians didn't seem as happy as the people in Kenya. And I think they have similar poverty. So there's cultural differences as you travel the world, like you said, in El Salvador and other places that we are. So for me, I think they're like Viktor Frankl, man's search for meaning. We give meaning to everything you see. And I'm sure in the millions of people in India, in Egypt, that a lot of people give great meaning to the pain that is not struggle. It provides fulfillment and purpose, and they're appreciative of what they have. And just like in America, I'm sure people have extraordinary amounts of wealth and they don't appreciate what they have comparatively as well. So to me, it was still that idea that people are not in search of meaning. They give meaning. What they're in search of is feeling alive. And I think a lot of people in Egypt feel alive. A lot of people in Kenya, El Salvador, they feel alive, and they're capable of giving meaning, regardless of whether it's $1, $100, $1 million, whatever it may be. And it's all in the eyes of the beholder to give that meaning. But with the enormous amount of people and what we saw, I think sometimes it gets lost. One of the things that bothered me the most, I talked to my wife about it, is that everybody wanted $1. And I think, as far as I could understand, $1 means a lot when the average income in Egypt is $3,500. So it's a significant amount, I guess. And, I asked my wife, I said, why didn't we bring, $2,000 or $3,000 of ones and just hand them out to everyone we saw, not buying anything?
Right.
Because it would not have any impact on my life at all, but yet it would have a huge impact on 3,000 people if I handed 3,000 people $1. And one of the things she said was, because you would not be able to handle the amount of people that would come up to you once you gave your first $1 out. And you guys know what I mean. Like it would deter from our purpose and meaning that we wanted to give our trip, because we would be hassled forever, and you couldn't walk down the street or see the pyramids because so many people would be asking for dollars, and then your whole trip is about just giving out dollars.
Mhm.
And I found that really, for me, difficult to understand. When I have a capacity to help people, I have to balance my own personal interest when I'm able and capable of helping so many people, and I didn't help as many people as I would have liked to. And I actually found other people, you're negotiating for an extra dollar out of, not because of the dollar. Like,
Right.
and their culture requires you to remember the person. I gave $1 to someone for a bracelet, and I just wanted to give $1, and they refused just to take my dollar. They gave me the bracelet with the dollar. So there's a lot of energy relationship and also personal conflict that goes on when you're able to help someone, but you actually can't help them because it would ruin your trip.
Mm.
I've been there in that studio before when they were testing the audio. So let me just let you know, this is good feedback for you. It's not as loud as you think it is.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
We
really.
can't. You don't
Well,
have
it's
to.
loud here right now, baby.
I get it. I've been there. I get it. It's not that I can hear it, but it's very faint in the background. I wanna transition to a different type of pain that we also witnessed. And David talks about the 3 no rule. Well, we got to witness the 100 no rule. And one of the other things that strikes me, this is Get Book Solid. We help entrepreneurs that have a passion to change the world to bring their thing, their service, their product, their idea to the world. But you know how many people just shut down because somebody tells them no, right? They pitched the idea, somebody told them no, they're dejected and despondent. They're like, this is the worst idea. Or they go to sell and one person tells them no, and they're like, their world comes crashing down. In Egypt, we witnessed in sales, these people were relentless. You could tell them no, they would just smile and be like, where are you from? And then you'd say, well, I'm from LA. And they'd be like, well, buy my thing. It's only $1. Like they just kept, the Jordan Belfort concept of looping, they just kept coming back. You could tell them no, and they would just loop and they would come back again. It was really fascinating to see. I love to get both of your guys' perspectives on their rejection armor, their immunity to the word no.
Yeah, it's cultural. Like I know there's an energy of being in a place of trade historically. It's genetically and energetically acceptable that no is temporary, and there's this situational knowledge that occurs when you have a relationship with no. For me, it's the 3 no rule out of efficiency. But I have a relationship with no that in my mind, it's the same thing, right? It's I'm either accelerating you to a yes or hurrying you to say no, giving you permission to say no. That's the idea of the 3 no rule. For them, because of the construct and the circumstances, they have a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
Where we have multiple occasions to interact. They just have a limited amount of time. As you walk through the shops or you're walking to a pyramid, they only have a limited amount of time. So they're going to walk with you and keep on asking and asking and ask you until it's over, until they lose the opportunity. Because statistically, that makes sense to me. And I really feel that I have the exact same relationship with no that they do. They just have a short and compressed time frame. So they have 100 no rules. In other words, they're going to keep on asking until you walk away or the security guard says, leave them alone.
It's funny because there's a lot of salespeople out there that talk about this, and they say the sale starts with the first no, right? Like that's actually where the sale begins. And I think that the Egyptian culture, like they really truly embrace that, because as soon as you say no, then they're like, well, wait a minute. So where are you from? Then they start asking questions to try to connect with you. I mean, they really embody the sales systems that are taught here in the United States in a way that they've never actually been taught, right? And so I thought that was really interesting. And it also makes me think about, we have so many clients that put up so much resistance to, let's say, for example, emailing their list. And they only want to email their list like once a week. And they think that that is too frequent or too bothersome or too loud or too aggressive. And the reality of it is, I mean, if you look at like what happened to us, they understand inherently that they're going to go after the sale with you as many times as you say no, until you finally say absolutely not and you walk away, right? They're just going to keep going for it. That's truly what sales is all about. You need to be like emailing your list as much as possible until somebody hits the unsubscribe button. They're not an actual no until they completely take themselves off the table. And I think that here we get so scared and so nervous and so shy about what we're selling to the people that haven't fully said no yet, right? And I mean, that was a learning lesson for sure.
I think it's true about posting too. I always say you're not posting enough until somebody you love and follows every single thing that you do tells you you're posting too much. Then you've hit the minimum, in my opinion. When somebody tells you you're posting too much, that's the minimum that you should be posting.
Right. It's the same concept, right? I think we actually do too little. And that's why we don't sell, right?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, just to interrupt, because this is applicable to one of my favorite things. I believe people don't make enough mistakes, because a mistake is a no from the universe as well. And it's the same concept. Like, right. You should be making more and more mistakes, because it's not the mistakes that will make you fail. It's the lack of commitment. Mm-hmm. And so the more mistakes you make, the more it empowers you with more commitment, and it's commitment that will get you where you want to be or better. Go ahead, Shawn. I'm sorry.
Well, so I just want to add to that. But when you make the mistake, you have to learn the lesson. So you can't just be committed to repeating the action. You have to learn the lesson. I mean, that's for all three of us. That's how we make a living, is because people make the same mistake over and over and fail to learn the lesson. That's then why you bring in a coach or a consultant that will help you to see the lesson in the mistake, so that you can stop that cycle of repeating the same mistake. I want to do a little exercise, heavy lifting. We got to build muscle here. And I always say this is one of my biggest things. I've never seen anybody become a genius or expert in sales by watching a YouTube or an Instagram or a LinkedIn live video. You actually, it's like, I had a client today give me this example. That's like saying, I take a lot of creatine, but I'm not building any muscle. You could take the creatine, but you still got to go to the gym in order to get the results. So you can watch all the videos that you want. You could watch Hormozi and Russell Brunson. You can watch all the things, but you still got to go into the lab. You've got to go into the gym to build the muscle. So we're talking about that rejection armor. But I'd love to get your guys' take, because I love that, you and I had a discussion about cultural and genetic tie to the trade. It's just inherent in them. They're on the Nile River. This is a trade community. It's just built in their DNA. Mm-hmm. The negotiation, even. I think if you didn't negotiate back, they might even be somewhat offended. That's right. Just how it goes. That's what we do. But that's not the norm for most of the people that the three of us talk to. Most of the people that we talk to do have that sort of reserved position to receiving no, to being rejected. They don't want to get up in front of the group and ask or make a speech or ask questions. Even when we do a mastermind event and we're like, who's got questions? That's when that anxiety creeps in. Oh, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to look foolish. And so I want to know from you guys your best tips on how we build that muscle. How do we get out there and become a little bit more immune to that idea of being rejected?
Look, you got to practice. And so there's 4 ways that I think you practice. I think every day you need to practice and give it a minimum, minimum amount of time to make it a non-negotiable practice. That in person, I'm going to ask. On the phone, I'm going to ask. In the email, I'm going to ask. In media, I'm going to ask. And the more you see the results from no, it's the same as golf, right? You keep swinging a wedge and eventually it feels right. So there's a lot of no's when you start learning how to play golf. And you can't just watch a golf. I can't watch Manolo and be a great golfer, Tiger, Scheffler, whoever. But then I go out there and there's a lot of no's. And then all of a sudden I keep swinging and all of a sudden one feels right. And then two feels right, and so on and so forth. So I think there is a muscle and it takes a lot of practice. That's why I believe getting people to get back to us so we can get the practice in. So, because we have such a huge total addressable community, we have technology that allows us to get in front of so many people so quickly. When I was young, it would take me a month to get in front of 1,000 people. Now I can do it in about 10 seconds. Well, the more people that get back to me, not only will I have more sales just being as good as I am today, but I'm also going to get better. And so I get more than, if twice as many people get back to me, I get more than 2 times the sales. And that's the muscle that you're talking about. And that's how you build it. You need to ask every day and have people tell you no, which means not at this time, because time, emotion, and value is not aligned and prioritized with what I want.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing for people in this idea, this concept, this exercise is a lot of times they're going and getting a no when they expected a yes, right? That's what hurts. And so when I'm talking to clients, I think we were talking about this being a muscle. I think the way that you can overcome your apprehension to no is to go get no's where you expect no's, right? Like when we're practicing, we're not playing the game, right? So go out there and ask for things that are absurd, right? Go out there and ask for things where you're going to get a no, but build the muscle to where the no doesn't hurt, right? That's how you practice before you play, before you actually ask for the real sale. That's what builds the muscle.
I have 2 exercises, and I did very few things right when I was a young vice president at Thomson Reuters as in sales. But this is probably one of the best exercises in the respect of what you're saying, Lacey, and it's super fun. So I want to encourage people to do this. One's called the middle name exercise. It is amazing that if you change your name to your middle name, how much easier it is to ask and to receive no. And if you read Todd Herman's book, The Alter Ego Effect, he'll explain why this is. But somehow the statistical success of my salespeople on the phone when they use their middle name was way greater because they just didn't have a personal attachment to the no. Now, the really fun one, and in the old days, there was these crank callers. This is before social media, called the Jerky Boys.
Jerky Boys.
Yeah. And so
they were so good.
You got to try this out. So I would do an exercise that said, okay, I want you to be as nice as you can be and call and see how long you can keep someone on the phone. I just want to see you're calling with the objective of how long can you keep someone on the phone. Now that we did that, then I said, okay, the competition is how quickly can you get them to hang up on you?
Oh.
Now, here's the interesting thing. In the exercise where people were trying to get them off the phone, people stayed on the phone longer than when they were trying to get them to stay on the phone.
How funny. That's amazing.
And it's a great exercise of detachment of name of person to a no, and then 2, the counterintuitive thing about being aggressive that somehow once, someone to say, hey, idiot. Like I literally would, hey, idiot. Huh? Hey, you're an idiot. Who is this?
Who is this? Right. Then they engage.
And you're like, no, I'm talking to you.
What are you talking about?
They stay on the phone, but meanwhile you call up going, hi, this is David. What are you doing today for solar? Click.
Yep. That's so funny. I'm replaying all the crank calls I did when I was younger.
Yeah, me too.
I had some good ones. I was creative. Okay.
The refrigerator running.
Oh no, I used to call and pretend that we were from 31 Flavors, and I would say, "Hey David, this is Lacey. If you can name 31 flavors in 31 seconds, you're gonna win $31. Go!" And then people would be like, chocolate, vanilla. Hey Shawn, I need flavor. It was the best crank call ever because you just caught people off guard. I was creative. Okay, I could keep you.
We would have been really good friends as kids.
Yeah, probably. But I love that because you're right. It is really a lesson in detachment, right? And when you show up as that alter ego, you don't feel like things are personalized. Oh, they don't even know my real name. So how can it be personal, right? That's that subconscious conversation that goes on in your mind when you're out there and trying to sell. So I love that. Mm-hmm.
I always think it's like looking at the servers at a restaurant, at a really good restaurant. Dave likes his Arnold Palmer's. So if he's got his, lemonade and iced tea, the server's going to come by at some point and say, "Hey, can I give you a refill?" And if Dave's like, "Oh no, I'm good," the server doesn't go in the back and cry and say, "That guy rejected me. He said no. I'm never going to offer anybody another drink." They don't get that tied into it. And in fact, if we sit there long enough, the server will come back and say, "Hey, are you sure you don't want another drink?" So even then, I think that's a great lesson when we're selling ourselves. That's where that attachment is.
Right.
Like we are the Arnold Palmer. When we're selling iced tea and lemonade, we're not as attached.
They're saying no to the opportunity.
Yes.
It's always what,
And we just come back to it and we repeat it. We loop just like we're an Egyptian selling t-shirts for $1. I want to remind everybody, we're going to be coming back. I'm sure Dave's going to be there 3 more times before that, but January 21st, we'll be back at SoFi recording
Yay.
None of Your Business and the podcast along with David. And there's a mastermind. So if you want more information, you could be right there in that room with David and in the room next to him where all the cool stuff is happening. Make sure you reach out to myself, Shawn at blackdiamondclub.com or David at dmeltzer.com. We'll get you hooked up. Next week are the holidays, Dave. Where are you speaking at on Christmas Eve?
I'm playing Maya Riviera. We're saying at Maya Riviera in Tulum. So I get to play my son, Miles, just to brag, because I am that dad now. Miles was the only freshman to make the varsity team.
Oh, he made it.
Yeah, and he is going to be practicing golf while we're down in Tulum for the holidays. And I celebrate everything celebratable. And I just want to tell you that I will travel anywhere with Shawn and Lacey. They amplify and exponentially provide so much joy for my wife and I. We were just so grateful to spend the time. I'm sorry we broke Shawn, but he doesn't have the fortitude or constitution that Lacey and I have. He was sick.
On the last day, my blood was just a little low on ozone. That was all. So I got my therapy yesterday, got a little IV in me. Boom, right back at it. I feel great. Not slowing down.
My buddy Shawn. But we'll travel the world with you. And I cannot wait to see you guys very much. We will be seeing each other at Aspire in Atlanta. I'll be at CES. And yes, SoFi VIP Mastermind and Dinner Experience. Book Yourself Solid, the podcast. And what's the other one that we're doing? What was the name of it? Oh,
what do you mean?
I think you didn't say get book solid. You said something else. Anyways, the podcast we do is watch the replay. I think you misnamed our show. Anyway.
Oh. All right, everybody. Yay.
Go say hi to all our friends over there. Tell them that we miss them. Say hi to Julie. Say congrats to Miles, varsity team. Yay. That's super awesome. We'll have to get Miles out to Naples. We'll play some golf out there as well. All right, everybody. Happy holidays. We'll be back sometime soon in your life, right here on your phone or on your iPad. Have a fantastic evening. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to